So my mom married my stepdad when I was 6, and by the time I was 7, he had started to sexually abuse me. That lasted until I was 16. And at 16, he had actually been tested for domestic abuse. And I shared with my mom a journal that I had been keeping since I was 7. So it had been it was interesting actually. If you kind of, I had about 3 separate journals, and I mean you could just kind of see the progression in terms of like my understanding of what was going on. You know, I was 7 when it started. I couldn't really conceptualize exactly what was happening because I was still developing those cognitive abilities. It's like I was still trying to figure out day to day what was happening, still trying to figure out, you know, interacting socially with other people. So you just, it almost becomes normal to you. You know, I think one of the biggest things that most people who have experienced sexual abuse don't realize at the time is that you you build up like a barrier almost, right? It's a protective shield. You So, you know, you have somebody that cares about you, and you know that they care about you and that they're a healthy person, and they know that they care about you and are a healthy person. Um, but you just don't believe it. It's like you don't believe your reality is what it is, because in your head, how, like, do you deserve that? Did you really ever make it? Like, you know, you just it's a false sense of reality is what it feels like sometimes. It's that feeling of just unworthiness. It's that feeling of this can't be real. It's that feeling of, yeah, right, you know, how did somebody like you get here? You know, that I think was a huge driving factor. Now, couple that with the sense of you should be in a chaotic situation. You aren't accomplishing what you should be accomplishing. You know, those sense of that feeling of, oh my gosh, I got to get up and go. Like, I literally felt like one day I should have packed my bags and just hit the road, because that's what I was used to. Because I still was I still was feeling like I had to be doing something. You know, I was still in survival mode essentially, even though I had survived. So I didn't kind of know what next steps were, what they looked like. I started just having this sense of, you know, PTSD. Definitely, it was like I'm creating chaos out of nothing, because that's what was normal at the time. You know, that's what I was used to, and I wasn't used to not having that sense of, not having that chaotic, stressful, I need to figure out what to do next. My brain was telling my body it was time for us to go. And my body literally wanted to go. Like, working out has become my best friend, just because I have to like push myself to that extreme, and let myself feel tired. Because if I don't, it's like I have all this energy I don't know what to do with. For example, if I don't burn that energy out on a jog or on a workout, then I clean constantly, or I'll reorganize something, or I'll, you know, just find the most, I don't know, I just find like the weirdest things to want to clean and organize, like literally. And I think part of that, you know, physically just doing something with my, you know, my body, you know, just like, oh, I'm going to pick up this chair and set it over here, um, almost helps to release that feeling of wanting to go somewhere or do something. Um, so yeah, I would say initially the halt was that I just wasn't ready. I didn't feel like there was anything I needed to work on, and I didn't feel like there was anything that I needed to change, because it was everybody else's problem. You know, it was my mom's problem. It was my dad, you know, my stepdad's problem. I didn't want to feel as though what they did or didn't do for that matter had affected me, because then I felt like I was weak. It was like, oh, you couldn't handle it, that sort of thing. But as I got older, I realized, no, like, I'm actually a victim in this situation. And now at this stage in my life, I've become a survivor. So um, it felt more empowering to go ask for somebody to help me change the way I think and feel about things, because I did win. It was just this weird sense of like, oh no, I've created a better life for myself. So now I'm okay changing those things. Now I think that sharing my story has helped, because I joined RAIN, the RAIN Speakers Bureau, and I think you don't meet. It's not like every day you meet somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I totally have. I've also had that experience. I totally know where you're coming from. So I think definitely like being around people that have also experienced that helps, because you can, you find out maybe something that they tried that maybe I never thought to try, that can help you get through. Um, I think that being in a loving and caring relationship definitely got the ball rolling, because I realized I was actually keeping somebody that I cared about at arm's length, because I didn't feel, not because they had ever not made me feel safe, but because I didn't feel safe letting those barriers down. Now I'm going to get all teary eyed. um,
No
so I
problem.
think, yeah, wanting to have a healthy relationship, or really just wanting to be able to fully open up and engage with somebody that I cared about, was definitely like a starting point. It was like, oh God, if I'm doing this with him, how many other people am I doing that with? Um, I would, I mean, I think more than anything, it's hope. Like, you hope that down the road you're not going to be here. You hope that down the road you'll be able to create something for yourself that makes you feel safe and happy. Um, Safe is huge, and happiness is key, because you know even though that stuff was happening during my childhood, I still threw myself into school 100%. I threw myself into friends 100%, because everybody goes through some sort of tragedy, whether it's sexual abuse or other abuse for that matter, or if they do have a mental disorder and their family isn't understanding of it, or if even their friends make fun of them, or they don't feel comfortable in their own skin, they don't feel comfortable at home. I mean, to create that space for people to find that comfort so that they can make a better life for themselves is pretty much all that life is about, right? It's making things better so that we can be happier.